Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. It is really starting to warm up here in Central Texas, and that means all of my brassicas and all of my cold weather crops are starting to flower, go to seed. They're just done. They're done. They've had it. They don't like temperatures in the 80s. We're approaching 90 here, which feels crazy to say, but we are. And so Nutmeg and I today are going to go over some of the ways that you can save seeds from these crops so that you don't actually have to purchase them year after year. And the first one I'm going to go over is one that is still producing right now, but I do have some that are ready to save seeds, and that's going to be the crop that is behind me, which is peas. Now I'm growing a couple different types of peas in my garden, but the one I'm going to show you is my shelling pea. And shelling pea means that you're growing it for the peas on the inside of the pod. The other type of pea that I'm growing is the snap pea, which you want to grow before the pea, or you want to harvest before the peas on the inside fully form, but you can let them form, and that's how you can save seeds. But for the shelling pea, I have a really good example right now because I have some peas that have reached almost an over maturity and they're ready to harvest for drying. Just going to harvest a couple right here. They were ready before a lot of the others on my plants and just sort of dried out. So here they are. You can harvest them when they're green. These are just turning a bit brown. This is the Progress number 9 shelling pea from Botanical Interest. The inside of it, once you open it up, you're gonna see the big, beautiful peas on the inside. Open it better this way. And these you can just leave out on your counter, whatever you want, so that they dry up, and then you can save them for storage for the next year. The other variety of pea that I've been saving seeds from so far this year is the Snap Daddy Sugar Snap Pea. And the ones that I have, I actually grew from seeds that I saved last year. So these are super straightforward. The peas are going to shrink considerably in size once you dry them. You can pick them while they're still green and dry them, or you can wait until the pod is drying out like this. It truly does not matter as long as you have nice big peas on the inside that are about this size, maybe a little bit smaller. You'll be able to get a successful germination rate in the next year. The other main type of crop that I have is Brassica, and as you can see, these have much gone beyond bolting at this point. They have these lovely seed pods on them. These are collard greens. Next to them over here, I have Komatsuna. Also further up in the bed, I have broccoli rabe. All of them are gonna pretty much look the same. They first flower and then they grow these long, thin seed pods, and you can probably find 20 to 30 seeds in each one. That was my experience with Bok Choy last year, and we'll get to my Bok Choy plant in a little bit. Now these are still flowering a little bit. These are definitely still flowering, so I'm gonna leave them alone. My broccoli rabe is done. This one I'm thinking I might harvest a lot of them just because they're pretty close to done. This one looks just about done up ahead of it. So I think it's time, honestly. I have enough seeds. I don't think I'm ever going to use all of these seeds. So I'm just gonna go take these down, and I like to do it before they dry out. When I show you the Bok Choy, I'll show you why. But this way they don't split open. If you pick them before they completely dry out or start to dry out, it'll just keep them enclosed in the pod longer, so that if I don't have time to sort through them right away, something is happening, this way I'll be able to just keep them intact in their pods. And I just like to take a whole branch, or in this case, I think I'm gonna go pretty far down the plant here. And I think here is good. All right. So this is all seeds. So this is just one plant. This was the main stalk off of this plant. There are a couple more little flowering stalks, little side shoots there, but this was all pretty much done. So I felt comfortable taking this off. I'm going to take the other ones off as well, and then maybe I'll just take a little ribbon around them and label them as collards and wait for them to dry out. Once they dry out, I can easily separate these pods, take out the seeds, and put them in a seed storing bag for later. So I'll go take off the other ones as well. These are all pretty close to done. This one's not having any pods on it yet. It's pretty good. And I'll show you up close too. The pods do get considerably thick if you let them. That's how you know that they're ready. So these are looking really good. There's going to be lots of seeds in there. Some of them, like here, they don't really have any pods forming yet. I think they will form, which is why I left these stalks alone on the plant. This broccoli rabe right here is what I would say is probably at the perfect stage for harvesting the seeds. It is completely done blooming. There's no blooms at the top, and there's lots of seed pods already formed. The plant is just starting to turn yellow. There's not really any leaves left. They're all falling off. So this is a really good stage to harvest everything, and I think honestly I can just chop this plant off at the base and it'll be ready to go. I'll just dry off the entire plant the way that it is. Get in here. So this is the whole plant. I do have to be careful because I do have lots of ladybugs and ladybug larvae on it, so I might give them an opportunity to crawl off and onto the komatsuna, which is still blooming. I noticed it started blooming a lot later than some of the other crops, so that I'm gonna leave in place. I'm not gonna harvest any seeds from it right now, and I am using it as a trap plant for the ladybugs to attract them to my garden. So I'm gonna leave the broccoli rabe here, maybe check on it in a few hours, see if all the ladybugs have gotten off of it. If not, I'll try and help them out a little bit. But this is really what you want as the perfect stage. If you can get this for harvesting the seeds, you might not be able to get that, and that's totally okay, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of seeds on just one plant, especially with the brassicas. They really know how to produce a lot of seeds, so whatever you can get is going to work. Over here I have a plant that is also a brassica. It functions exactly the same with how it develops seeds, but it does look a little bit different in the pod formation, and I find that it actually stops producing the flowers and just lets all of the seed pods go at once and mature at once, and that is going to be radishes. This specifically is a daikon radish, and it's a very easy, just like the broccoli rabe plant was, to harvest the seeds. I'm able to just chop back the plant, and this is what I've got for the seeds. I have some other cover crops attached to it, which is fine. It's all gonna dry out eventually, but these I'll just let dry. You can hang them upside down, you can lay them flat, and I'll be able to have all of these seed pods. With radishes specifically, sometimes I'll just store these whole seed pod and I'll break each one open when I plant seeds into the ground. I find it to be really easy to do that. You don't have as many seeds in each pod for a radish as you would some of the other brassicas. So whatever method you choose to do, this is a really easygoing one to save the seeds. It's not as overwhelming because you don't get quite as many seeds per pod, but you still get enough that you don't have to worry. You can let 1 or 2 plants go to seed every year, and you'll probably get enough seeds for the next year, whatever you want to plant, and possibly even have extra. So this one I highly recommend letting at least 1 go to seed. And honestly, if you let any radish get too big to the point where it's not going to taste good anyway and it's split, just let it go to seed, because they're super easy. For some of the plants where I don't have an overwhelming amount of seed pods, like the radishes, and I might do this eventually with some of the collards and broccoli rabe, but it's just easier to do right now with this one, is I like to just separate the seed pods and put them into some sort of container. I've used boxes like this, I've used bowls, anything you want really. Just make sure that it's not closed, so anything open air. And I just realized I have a dried up seed pod. Can you hear it rattling? I don't know if the camera will pick that up, but this is completely dried up, so that's really cool. I guess I just left that too long, but I'll just take each seed pod and I'll cut it. These are not the best. It might be easier to just rip them with this one. Yeah, these will rip off once they're dried, which is also very convenient. And then I'll keep them in here. I'll probably label it with a Sharpie, and I'll bring it inside just so that I don't have to worry about things like wind. They'll stay put if you have a light breeze, but sometimes we get higher winds here. So yeah, just take them off of here and cut them up and put them into the container. Like I said, don't seal it off, otherwise you will have some issues with the drying. You could actually have mold, and then your seeds aren't going to save properly. So just anything open, put it in your kitchen, on your table, wherever is a convenient place for you. As long as it's not too humid and it's not wet and it's not sealed, you're gonna have them dry really nicely like this. And once they get to this point, they're actually ready to plant. It gets too hot in the summer here for me to start radishes, but a lot of places in cooler zones like 6 and up, you should be able to grow radishes in the summer. So this is something you could probably do all season long. For me, it just gets way too hot. Like right now, it's April and it's too hot for me to grow radishes anymore. So these are more of a winter crop for me, but I'll just keep them saved until I can plant in about September or no, October, November, anywhere in that time frame, depending on what the year is, but at least I'll have them ready to go and I don't have to buy any. That's the biggest perk of this. For the last one, I wanted to show you guys one that has gone a little too long, and that is my baby bok choy. This is the Shanghai green choy variety from Baker Creek Seeds. As you can see, the pods are nice and plump. This is about as thick as they'll get on a bok choy, but a lot of them have dried up and actually split open. So a lot of the seeds have fallen out. You can see more of the seeds here. So this is a little bit past the point where I should have taken it. There's not a single flower in sight. I still have hundreds, if not thousands of seeds on this plant. And unfortunately, I am gonna have to blast it with the hose, which will knock off a few more, but there are aphids on here and I just don't want them crawling around if I'm going to have to bring this inside. But I do have some really nice rows like this one that are perfect. I am just gonna lose some of it because of the splitting, and that's okay. I mean, maybe I'll have volunteer bok choy pop up this fall, but this was a really great plant to have. It just, each stage of its progression was a lot faster than I thought it would be, and this has gone to seed even faster than a lot of the other brassicas. So I'm just a little behind, but it's not the worst thing in the world. You don't have to save seeds. It'll just help you save money in the long run, and you'll be able to start things on your terms instead of waiting for when a nursery is going to have a plant. If you know, you should be starting it before they're going to have it available. So I always like to do it. It saves me a lot of money and time, and I just think you get more variety with it in terms of the crops that you can grow. But with this one, I was a little bit behind the ball. Finally, before Nutmeg and I go, we wanted to point out one brassica that is not quite ready yet, and that is my broccoli. This one has been definitely behind all of the other brassicas. I do have some seed pods forming here, but it is blooming really rapidly still. There are new shoots coming up all the time, and the bees are still very much attracted to it. Where I noticed with the collards, I wasn't getting as many bees as I have in the previous weeks. They really love the collard greens, and they're just not going to it anymore. So that's another sign that it's done. Nature will give you lots of signs of things that are ready to go or things that you should be doing in your garden. So I'm going to take this sign from nature that this is going to stay for a little bit longer, as well as the Komatsuna. That one I could harvest. It's just there's a lot of other factors going on there. So this one will probably stay for a little bit, maybe not too long, because I would like to get my tomatillos in the ground here. But this is going to stay, the Komatsuna is going to stay, but I have lots of other seeds, as you could see throughout this video, that I have been harvesting, so I really have my work cut out for me right now. So that is it for our cold crop seed saving video. I hope you learned a little something about saving your seeds, and maybe you'll try saving your own seeds this spring from the crops when they start to bolt. Maybe I'll do another video like this with the summer crops, though it's a bit easier with things like peppers and tomatoes because you know the fruit is going to have seeds inside, and leafy greens, brassicas, they all have a little bit different of a process because they have to bolt and actually produce the seed pods. But you know, it's all in good fun. It's all in the fun of gardening, and it is a beautiful day out here to be in the garden. So we thought we would share some tips with you. If you like this video, make sure to give Nutmeg and I here a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.